Hello and welcome to A Better Morning, presented by Rival Fantasy. Rival Fantasy is the all-in-one fantasy sports platform featuring 3 unique DFS games which are easy to play, fun, and you can't play anywhere else. Play challenges, fantasy book, fantasy bingo, plus season-long fantasy football. No huge tournaments, no huge player pools, or daunting contests that make you feel like you have no shot at winning. New users who sign up at Rival Fantasy at joinrival.com/alarm get up to a $200 deposit match and a complimentary first play voucher. Right, let's welcome today's panel. Head of Content of Fantasy Alarm and award-winning host on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, Howard Bender. Welcome back, Howard.
Thanks for having me.
Host. Thank you. Award-winning host, fantasy exec, Corey Parson.
Good morning.
And welcome back, Coop, Fantasy Alarm, lead NFL analyst, and host of Fantasy Fiasco. Welcome, guys.
Cheers. I mean, I would be award-winning, but I live in the same era as JJ Zacharyson, guys. I've been nominated for 2 awards. He just wins them all. That's why I'm not award-winning yet. It's only a matter of time.
Please, come
on.
You gotta learn to stand out.
I'm playing against Tom Brady out here. That's what's happening.
JJ's not Tom Brady.
Come on, man. You're talking to Jordan Magic right here, right now. Come on,
there wasn't even you guys were playing before there was even a 3-point line, dude.
Hey, I'm glad that we can get Bender awake to get back on the show with us. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to him.
I love this. Old Coop.
What's that?
Are you calling them old?
I didn't say that. You said that, Heather. You said that. I'm checking out this fantasy bingo thing on Rival Fantasy. I'm actually kind of excited to play that. I'm not sure if you guys looked at it yet.
I did. I signed up yesterday. Cool. Got my match deposit. Ready to go. Fired up.
Let's get it. I'm ready for the excitement of fantasy as well.
Yeah. We'll be playing tomorrow, guys. So let's get to it. There are 5 teams. My apologies, guys. All right. I had a little technical error. Here we go. I'm so sorry. Yesterday, Justin Herbert and the Chargers agreed to a 5-year, $262 million contract extension, making him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. He has thrown for 14,000 yards, 94 touchdowns, and 35 interceptions in 3 seasons as the Bolts signal caller. Last season, he was just outside the top 10 in QBR at 11th. Do you think this contract is motivation enough to be a Super Bowl contender? They're currently plus 2,200 at FanDuel for Super Bowl odds. Howard, you're up first.
Oh, well, welcome back to me, huh? Does this, enhance them as a Super Bowl contender? I don't know. I mean, we've expected the quarterback contract dominoes to start falling, and Lamar Jackson got his, and now Justin Herbert's getting his. Listen, I think the Chargers are a great team with phenomenal weapons surrounding Justin Herbert. Last year, I'm almost willing to give him a mulligan just because of the nature of the rib injury that he was dealing with. But now they've got Kellen Moore in here. He's going to change up the offense a little bit, but it's still the same weapons. The question is the Chargers, there's just a natural stigma about the Chargers that they can't get over that hump. I don't know what it is. I don't think this contract is the difference maker here, but at least, they are going to be competing for the playoffs.
Yeah, that hump that Howard alluded to is sitting on the the Los Angeles Chargers sideline. And now they got 2 of them sitting on the sideline with Kellen Moore and the head coach in Staley. So it's going to be very difficult for this team, not only to win the championship, they're years away from that. In the AFC, this is just a regular team, maybe a 7 seed, if anything, in the AFC. You saw how they went out in that playoff game last year. They got a ton of talent on the team. I'm not sure it's put together and wrangled right. Don't like the head coach. You know how I feel about the offensive coordinator. So in a very difficult AFC, this is the thing about Justin Herbert. He is being paid on potential. Other quarterbacks that got paid, Hurts has been in the Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson has won an MVP. Justin Herbert got a strong arm. All right, well, let's pay him like a top quarterback. I don't know if this is the right thing to do. This and the Chargers not going to be nowhere near the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think Corey's got it right there. When you sit back with this team and list out the stars they have, it's crazy across the board. Every position on offense and defense. I mean, the offense is easy when you look around at the weapons there, but the defense, I mean, it's Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Derwin James. Like, this team's ready now. And what this contract tells me is that Brandon Staley's now on the hottest possible seat. I mean, if this team can't win, they've already committed to the quarterback. And what ends up happening a lot of times with these teams is there's posturing between, okay, where do we make the change? Do we make the change at quarterback? Do we make it at coach? Do we make it at coordinator? Well, they just tried coordinator. They're committed to the coach. So if they don't win with this team this year, at least make it to, the AFC Championship, Super Bowl, ideally, then he's got to go, man.
Anybody here ever try to bet the Chargers at home as a touchdown favorite? It is probably one of the most miserable experiences. Right, Corey's right there. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's one of the most
told me last year
things.
not to do it, and I did it anyway.
Oh.
You told me that. You said last year, like, never do that, and I had to suffer through that Jaguars playoff game. I was sitting there like, oh man.
I wonder.
This is what I was talking
about.
Why?
A lot of people thought that Sean Payton would have sat back and waited for the Charger job to become open, because obviously who doesn't want to work with Justin Herbert? But he didn't, you know what I'm saying? So I feel pretty strongly they'll be looking for a coach when the season's over this year.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you this, and to your point, Corey, I ask you guys, on the field, where are the holes? I mean, they went out, got Rashawn Slater, Zion Johnson, Corey Linsley on offense. They hit with all their draft picks. Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr. on defense. Like, where are the holes in this
there
team?
aren't holes. The holes aren't necessarily on the field itself. Like Corey said, there are two humps sitting on the sidelines right now. And this is what's kind of controlling it. They tried Joe Lombardi as the offensive coordinator. That didn't work out. He's now with Denver, and we'll see what happens, when him and Peyton come back. But yeah, I think that this is so much talent sitting on the field. And listen, I think Justin Herbert's a fantastic quarterback. I get what you're saying, Corey, that, he's not, he hasn't brought to the level that you've seen Hurts do or Lamar Jackson do, and I don't know. I don't think Herbert is the issue. You have to build around your quarterback. You have to have a franchise guy in the NFL right now. And that's what the Chargers are doing. So I agree with you guys, man. It's the hot seat is not on the players. We always sit there and we say, it's not the coaches who go out and do it. It's the players who are going out and actually playing the game. The players are playing the game. If they don't have the proper guidance and the proper leadership from the sidelines, they are never going to get over this hump. And this has just been a Charger stigma for years and years. Like, since what, Fouts?
I mean, basically, it does go back for a while. And it's, like we mentioned the talent, but it's on the sideline. It's on the sideline. They need a culture change. They need a dude to come in there who is known for building cultures. You know what I'm saying? That's who they need Eric Spoelstra.
They need ownership. I'm putting 100. I'm honestly going to bet on the Chargers to win the Super Bowl right now.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I literally just did it.
I'll take that action, Coop. No, I got a sports book here. Send me the 100.
You're saying save the juice.
Dude, I'll give you 10 to 1.
He'll take whatever odds.
Yeah. I'll give you 10 to 1 odds. In return, I want naming rights for your firstborn.
All right, well, deal. I'll break it a case.
I'm going to name your kid Staley Cooper.
That's not far off.
All right, guys. Browns QB Deshaun Watson didn't have the season everyone was hoping for in Cleveland upon his return from an 11-game suspension. He ranked 26th in the league in QBR, and he finished with 7 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Can Watson return to his former glory, or will he be considered one of the worst trade deals in NFL history? Corey, you're up first.
Yeah, this is a very interesting question, because I don't think I was optimistic that Watson was going to come in the middle of the year last year and, be the Watson he was after that longer time off. And, he looked pretty bad at some points. That division that they play in, too, is extremely tough. So the AFC is tough. The AFC North is tough. You got Jackson in that division. You got Burrow in that division. And you got a Hall of Fame head coach in that division. So, like, it's a lot in the way. I liked the talent before all the stuff went down. I thought he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And you can say that last year was rust. Man, he looked real bad. Like, it looked like it was more than just rust. I'll be honest with you. I'm starting to worry about Watson.
I will admit that he did look bad last year, but when you look at what he did before, there were so many moving parts, so many variables that you also can't really go back and be like, oh, well, he succeeded because of the coach. Well, that was in flux. He succeeded because of the weapons. That was constantly changing. Guys were constantly getting hurt. He did it with and without DeAndre Hopkins. So for me, when I look at Deshaun Watson, like, this is a guy who, when healthy before this, was top 5 anytime he was playing. So, and this isn't like a Russ Wilson situation where you can say, oh, maybe he's over the hill. I mean, he's not even 30 years old yet. So I believe that Deshaun Watson this year can get back to, at the very least, above average, but top 5 still within the range of outcomes for this guy because I've seen it.
Yeah, I'm going to put Deshaun Watson as a potential top 5 QB as well. The talent itself is fantastic. The rust we saw last year, it's learning a new system. It's coming in later on in the year. I still think Kevin Stefanski has a hard time identifying really what he wants to do. Are we a run-first team? Are we a passing team? Where are we going to go? He learned all about, establishing a great ground game when he worked with Kubiak and Dennison in Minnesota, and yet he still kind of falls into that pass-happy situation. But I think the real question here is, will this be considered one of the worst trade deals in NFL history? 100%. Cleveland, I don't know what they were thinking. All the guaranteed money, all the guaranteed years, that was a mistake. And it's not just because of whether or not you think Watson's going to return to form. It's what they turned around and told the entire NFL when they guaranteed all of this money for Watson. So regardless of, unless the Browns win the Super Bowl this year, right, this is probably still going to be considered one of the worst trades in history, with a lot of guaranteed money on the table.
Yeah, I hope that it continues to blow up, because there's information that I want. You don't do that trade and give this guy a contract if there aren't other teams in the mix, right? Like, they went above and beyond to get him there and to make him this crazy high paid player. That means there were other teams trying to get in on this. If it blows up completely, the Browns will turn around 100% and say, well, we had to do that because the Colts were going to do it, right? So I want to know what other teams were in on this, because if it does blow up, that's definitely coming out. That's the first thing teams do when it blows up.
It was the Falcons. He woke up the morning that they signed the contract. They was gassing up the jet thinking they were going to Atlanta, and he was excited to be going to Atlanta. But what ended up happening is the Browns came in at the last minute and fully guaranteed the deal, and it was all bets was off the table at that point right there. That's why Lamar tried to come back this year and do the same thing, but obviously that was an outlier. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see how they get into the mix in the AFC. I think the conference is too good and the division is too good. You know what I mean? So he can have success. Now, me, I think that wins are a quarterback stat. So, I don't know if the wins are going to be there.
Howard, let me ask you. Would you rather right at this moment be the Cleveland Browns or the Atlanta Falcons?
You know what, man? That's a tough call right there. I'd probably rather be the Atlanta Falcons because of how soft the NFC is, how wide open it is. Their division is absolutely bleh. And yeah, Corey's right. You're dealing with the Bengals, you're dealing with the Ravens, and listen, the Steelers are, going to be better than they were last year. How about that? Give Pickett a little bit more extra time. But listen, I think that we're kind of selling Cleveland a little bit short here. Cleveland has arguably one of the top offensive lines. They've got the best running back in the NFL in Nick Chubb. All right. If they can grab that lead, if they can do that, they will turn to the run and they will try and do that. We talk about it all the time, Coop. Running is a luxury of the winning teams. And so that's kind of what I want to see. I think the passing game can develop. I think they can do some great things. Watson has great weapons. Amari Cooper, strong route runner, solid hands. On the other side of the field, or in the slot, they bring in Elijah Moore, who's also a good route runner, who also has good hands. Donovan Peoples-Jones can help stretch the field. David Njoku is one of the top pass-catching tight ends out there. The weapons are right there. The scheme is in place. Watson, I think, is the linchpin here. And if he comes back better than he was last year, it's pretty hard to come back worse. But if he comes back better than he did last year, then I think the Browns do have a chance to, listen, they'll compete for the division. That'll be a slugfest division. But I do think that they have the capabilities of coming in as a wild card team with a better Watson than last year.
Yeah, and I will say this, that the real interesting thing is that people forget that Jacoby Brissett quietly set the bar at least sea level, right? He was on pace to throw for like 4,000 yards. So this year, if Deshaun Watson doesn't come out and at least be above average, we know there's something wrong with him, because I just watched Jacoby Brissett with his offense be just fine.
Oh, if they don't go to the playoffs, they're not going to blame Watson. They're going to blame the coach.
Got it.
Which I'm okay with. You know what? I think Stefanski had every opportunity in the world with the Cleveland Browns when he came over there. I mean, he took a system that he learned in Minnesota. He tried to implement it, and yet his spin, again, Stefanski's a panicker. That's the big problem here for Cleveland. Stefanski panics. You lose, you're losing, you have to get the lead back. He doesn't take his time and methodically move down the field. He wants to, be that run and gun offense that grabs the lead and then runs the ball. And they should be using the run to set up the pass, not the opposite.
Madden.
In 2010, in 2010, Kobe Bryant and the Lakers agreed to a 3-year, $90 million contract. So small compared to what's going on today. Although it was well-deserved, it locked the cap space for LA to get some additional weapons for the Lakers' success. They eventually got swept in the first round of the playoffs. Yesterday, Jaylen Brown, as you see smiling wide, signed a supermax deal with the Celtics for 5 years, $304 million, which is fully guaranteed, and is now the biggest contract in NBA history. Do you think Boston made the right decision? And what are your expectations of the team winning another NBA championship? Currently, they are second in futures odds at plus 550, behind the Nuggets to run it back at plus 450. Coop, you're up first.
Now, I will admit this, even as a Celtics fans, the memes that I saw yesterday were funny. People saying, if Jaylen Brown's the highest paid player in the league, what is a guy who can dribble going to get? But the thing with this deal is that I've already seen these guys get this close to winning a championship. And Jaylen Brown's don't grow on trees, and he can improve. Like, these guys are still young, both him and Tatum. I do believe that with the combination of these two players plus the right pieces, you might have to work on the jigsaw puzzle for a couple years if it doesn't work with Porzingis this year. I think they can win it all. I don't think this is going to be a Portland Trailblazers, Dame Lillard, CJ McCollum type situation, because these guys are different players. So I do think it was the right move, and now just a matter of finding the right pieces to fill in the cracks.
Our little chat right here, Heather asked the key question here: what will Jason Tatum get? Right? Because let's face it, as good as Jaylen Brown is, he's not the best player on the Celtics right now. And next year they're going to have to pay Jason Tatum. But do I think that this is, like a good team to bet to win it all? They're committing to it. They really are. They're turning around here. Him and Tatum are 24, 25, 26 years old. These guys are just moving into their physical prime. That's a great spot to be in. If you can lock these two down as a duo, what you're saying basically, especially with this kind of money, what you're saying is that, we're going to lock in Tatum as well. And he and Brown, not only are they going to be a fantastic duo, but they're going to elevate the play of the guys around them. So, yeah, listen, if I'm sitting there sprinkling a little something on an NBA future, I think the Celtics are putting themselves into a great spot here to win it all.
It's wild how different NBA contracts are from NFL contracts. This guy is like maybe the last guy to make the All-Star team, and he just got $300 million guaranteed. $300 million guaranteed.
For
Jaylen Brown, who I think is a decent player, but he's not going to change your franchise. As far as betting them to win a championship, I don't like adding Porzingis to the team. I told you how I feel. I think Porzingis is a good player on a bad team. I think you put him on a good team, and I think the season ends with Boston fans being upset at Kristaps Porzingis and Jaylen Brown. But what I think is the really interesting thing with this deal right here is Boston is, by signing this deal, Boston is telling you that they are out on Damian Lillard and that Lillard is not coming. So now it's between Miami and Philadelphia to see who gets the rights to make the big deal to bring Damian Lillard to their city. So that's what's going to be interesting right there for me. So now Boston is out.
Boston's out on Damian Lillard, or Boston's out just because they're not going to end up with Damian Lillard?
No, Boston's out on Lillard. Brown would have been a part of a Lillard deal.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that's better than Tyler Hero. But really now it comes down to Miami and Philadelphia. And it's just now I've heard that Tyrese Maxey is in the mix, and that's who Portland wants. But Stephen A. Smith said that Tyrese Maxey is not on the table. So I don't know. He's been right before.
Well, now last year, I personally would have been clamoring for trading Jaylen Brown for Damian Lillard because I just felt like Jason Tatum did not seem like the guy who wanted the ball in his hands, who wanted to take the last shot. Like when it was Paul Pierce, you knew he was going to shoot from the elbow. Like you knew he wanted the ball, and Damian Lillard has been that guy. Like he's daggers, right? Nails. So, but after this year, Jason Tatum had no problem with that, and it was clear that he was going to be the guy that shoots that shot. And I don't think you necessarily need that anymore. I mean, obviously, every team is better with Dame Lillard. He's probably the best deep range shooter maybe ever, right? Like him and Curry. So, but for now, Jason Tatum, I'm comfortable with him being the guy. So you don't necessarily have to go pay for that. I'd rather they keep the two guys they have now and just focus on getting the right combo of bigs. Hopefully, Porzingis with that high screen is going to help out if he can stay healthy.
I don't know nothing about no basketball.
Howard, you didn't have to say that. We knew that. Nah. Not about football either.
You got takes, Howard.
Listen, when you're under 6 feet tall and you grow up in New York City and you don't have a 3-point shot, basketball's just not your game. Yeah, I was in the park playing stickball. I wasn't on the courts playing hoops.
You get out there, set some picks out.
I didn't hit my growth spurt until I was like in the 9th grade. It was ridiculous.
I remember I hit my first stickball home run. I remember that like yesterday. You know what I'm saying? It was a very good feeling as a youth in New York City to hit a stickball home run.
As a youth.
That park on the Upper East Side around 96th Street, baby. Boom!
There you go.
Now it's time for Dealer's Choice. Give us your bet of the day. It can be on any topic and any sport. Oh, my.
Howard first.
Oh, my.
Howard, you're up first.
I am up first. All right, here we go.
Oh, my.
You know what? I'm going to go to MLB. I'm going to go today. I'm going to go to the Windy City. You got Cubs, White Sox, Marcus Stroman opposite Lance Lynn. Give me the Cubs first 5 innings money line in this one here. I got it from -120 on DK Sportsbook. Cubs bats right now, they are on fire. Stroman, little up and down. He's obviously worried about where he's being traded to, but I feel like this White Sox lineup, which, over the past week has just not been strong at all, is definitely easily managed for Marcus Stroman. On the other side, you've got Lance Lynn, and Lance Lynn has been absolutely atrocious this year. Of the 10 earned runs that he's given up in his last 2 starts, 9 of those 10 runs have come within the first 5 innings. He is not pitching well, even whether he's pitching for a new job somewhere or whatnot with the trade deadline coming. It's just not going to happen. Cubs take that early lead. They hold it for the first 5 innings. The money line, baby, -120 on DraftKings Sportsbook.
-120. Very nice, Howard. Chalk. Howard telling us to bet the chalk this morning.
What's wrong? What's wrong with betting chalk, dude? You might as well just make some money.
The chalk hits. I'm gonna go to the NFL, tie your money up for a little bit, but I'm gonna take the over on the wins, on 6.5 wins for the Washington Commanders. Obviously the new ownership group is not doing anything yet, but it gives the team better morale. It gives the fan base better morale. The team is good in the trenches. They got good talent, skill positions. Head coach and quarterback is interesting. But they can get the 7 wins this year. I think the Giants are kind of broken, or they need to be reconnected after all the offseason drama. So I like the Commanders to get the 7 wins and make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, really stretched it with that even money pick there, too.
Corey, I think you've been drinking too much of that Carolina water down there, betting on Sam Howell, buddy.
All right. Go ahead. My bad.
It's trickling down from North Carolina down there. So for me, I'm going with one that I'm not necessarily betting right now, but I'm going to bet it. I'll bet it at this line, but I actually want to see if it moves up given recent news. But I was looking at James Cook's over under for yardage. Like the reason we like James Cook is because he's a pass catcher, but this is an undersized back on a team with Josh Allen and Damian Harris. Yet they have the yardage total set at like 700 more. Like that's higher than guys like James Conner, much higher than DeAndre Swift, all these other guys. I look at that, and with the Nyheim Hines news, that might move up a little bit with people thinking that Nyheim Hines is actually going to be part of the rush attack, even though he had 6 carries for -3 yards last year. So I'm going to keep an eye on that one. If it moves up at all, I'll bet it immediately. And if it doesn't, I'll probably still bet the under because you get 2 outs. You get underproduction and injury with the running backs.
He only had 16 catches last year, but they were around 9 yards a pop. If he gets more of that, he can be a very dynamic player. I like him a lot coming into the year. And his brother, if his brother was to sign with Washington, then you go ahead and cash that over 6.5 right there. But no, I'm a big James Cook guy coming into the year.
Yeah. Howard, I got to ask you.
I'm gonna, before you ask me your question, I'm not going to totally crap on your call here on the under, but I'm going to tell you right now that I think if you look at what Buffalo has done in the offseason right now, they have really shored up that offensive line. They want to run the ball more, and they said that when they drafted Osiris Torrance in the 2nd round. They're really looking to make that move. They don't want – Ken Dorsey does not want Josh Allen putting himself at risk anymore. They know that, with the money that quarterbacks are making, with the fact that Josh Allen is a linchpin, with the fact that you have to you tend to pull back on the rushing of your running quarterbacks. I think that we're looking at Buffalo trying to listen, Allen's still going to be Allen. He's going to still do his thing. They're not going to take that away from him. But I do think that they want to focus a little bit more on establishing a running game. I think Ken Dorsey thinks it takes the pressure off. You also didn't amp up your wide receiver core. You don't have the additional weapons. Gabe Davis, come on, man. How is that dude going to be, improving? He's so inconsistent. So you don't touch the passing game. You really, really work that offensive line. You get yourself a lot of good, solid run blockers. And you, Coop, more than anything, once you make that investment into your fullback, like they did with Reggie Gilliam, I think that Buffalo is probably primed a little bit more for that. They're also going to sit in 2 tight end sets, right? You got Knox and you got Dalton Kincaid. They want more run blocking out of this team, and that's why I'm actually kind of bullish on James Cook this year.
Best argument I've heard in a long time to bet the over on Damian Harris is 550 yards.
Ooh, I don't know.
All right. That was today's edition of A Better Morning. Thank you to Corey, Howard, and Coop. Make sure you check out Quick Out Fantasy Football with Howard and Coop at 1 p.m. Eastern. We wish everyone a better hump day. Take care, everyone.